The first one you're doing is the Columbian Exchange essay question. The Columbian Exchange was more than the transfer of goods, animals, and diseases. Hyphenate it. It was a turning point that reshaped entire civilizations. When Europeans arrived in the Americas, they brought not only horses, wheat, and smallpox, but also a mindset of domination and entitlement to land. Spanish, French, and English explorers each had different approaches to interacting with indigenous peoples, but all ultimately disrupted indigenous sovereignty. The Spanish were driven by conquest and conversion. Their relationships with indigenous nations were often violent, shaped by the imposition of Catholicism and exploitative labor systems. Treaties were rare. Do the Oxford comma. Instead, power was taken through military force and cultural erasure. The French, in contrast, leaned on trade and alliances, especially in the fur trade. They intermarried with indigenous communities and respected tribal sovereignty to a degree, but their presence still shifted power dynamics and introduced European diseases. The English were the most aggressive in land acquisition. They viewed land as property, not as a shared resource, and pushed treaties that were often deceptive or broken. Their settlements expanded rapidly, displacing indigenous nations and undermining traditional governance systems. Cultural assimilation played a major role in this exchange. Indigenous languages, spiritual practices, and clan systems were suppressed. Sovereignty was not just about land, hyphenate it. It was about the right to live according to one's own laws, teachings, and worldview. The power base of indigenous nations was deeply rooted in relationships with land, community, and spirit. European colonization fractured these foundations, replacing them with foreign systems of governance and ownership. The Columbian Exchange wasn't just biological or economic, hyphenate it. It was a collision of worldviews. Indigenous nations were forced to navigate treaties that didn't reflect their values, and many were coerced into systems that prioritized ego over eco. The long-term effects are still felt today as indigenous communities continue to fight for land rights, language revitalization, and cultural sovereignty. Okay, and then the next one is we'll do the origin of life and human development. Okay. The origin of life has been explained through both scientific theory and cultural story. The theory of evolution, developed by Charles Darwin, proposes that life began with simple organisms that gradually evolved into complex species through natural selection. Fossil records and genetic evidence support this view, showing how humans share ancestry with other primates and adapted over time to survive in changing environments. Creation stories offer different truths. In Anishinaabe tradition, life begins with spirit and water. Nanabuju is sent to teach humans how to live in balance, and Turtle Island is formed after a great flood, with animals playing key roles. In Hindu belief, Brahma emerges from a golden egg to create the universe. Chinese stories describe yin and yang, creating balance, followed by Pan Ku, whose body becomes the earth. Jewish and Islamic traditions describe God or Allah creating the world in 6 days, forming humans with purpose and responsibility. Each story reflects values, hyphenated, whether balance, duty, or stewardship, hyphenated, and shapes how people relate to land, animals, and the divine. Ancient civilizations in both the Old and New worlds developed technologies that changed human life. In Mesopotamia, writing and irrigation supported centralized governance. In Egypt, architecture and religion shaped society. In the Americas, the Maya built calendars and temples, while the Inca engineered roads and terraces. These innovations supported trade, agriculture, and political systems. Human migration spread ideas and technologies across continents. Early humans moved from Africa into Asia, Europe, and the Americas, adapting to different climates and forming diverse cultures. Governance systems evolved, hyphenated, from tribal councils and clan systems to monarchies and empires. Indigenous governance often emphasized consensus and ecological responsibility, while other systems focused on hierarchy and control. Together, evolution and creation stories offer a fuller picture of human development, hyphenated, one rooted in adaptation, belief, and relationship. Whether shaped by science or story, our origins continue to guide how we live, govern, and connect. Okay, and then the last essay you're doing is the Mishomis book. So, we'll go with this one. The Mishomis book is more than a history, hyphenated. It's a spiritual and cultural roadmap for the Anishinaabe people. Through stories like the Anishinaabe creation, the Great Migration, the Great Flood, and the 7 Teachings, the book offers a layered understanding of how the Anishinaabe came to be, how they are meant to live, and how they relate to land, spirit, and each other. These stories are not just symbolic, hyphenated. They are living truths passed down through generations. Okay. The Anishinaabe creation story begins with the Creator bringing forth life from the spirit world. Nanabuju, a central figure, is sent to Earth to learn and teach. He is not a god, but a teacher and transformer who interacts with animals, plants, and people. His journey teaches humility, curiosity, and respect for all beings. The earth itself is formed after a great flood, when animals dive into the water to retrieve soil. It is the muskrat, hyphenated, small and underestimated, hyphenated, who succeeds, showing that even the least likely can carry great responsibility. The soil is placed on the back of a turtle, giving rise to Turtle Island, the name many indigenous nations use for North America. This story centers water, animals, and spirit as sacred forces, and it sets the tone for Anishinaabeg relationships with the land. The Great Migration is a prophecy-driven journey, that led the Anishinaabeg from the East Coast to the Great Lakes region. They were told to travel west until they found the place where, and then put it in parentheses, food grows on water. Then hyphenate it. A reference to wild rice, or manuman. This journey was not just physical, hyphenate it, it was spiritual and political. Along the way, the Anishinaabe split into different nations, including the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi. Key places like Madeline Island became sacred centers. The migration affirmed the importance of prophecy, adaptability, and connection to land. It also reinforced the idea that survival depends on listening, hyphenate it, to spirit, to elders, and to the earth. The Great Flood story echoes the creation narrative, but focuses more on renewal and sacrifice. After the world becomes imbalanced, the Creator sends a flood to cleanse it. Nanabuju survives and works with the animals to rebuild. Again, the muskrat plays a key role, diving deep to retrieve soil. This story teaches that healing and rebirth require cooperation, humility, and trust. It also reinforces the sacredness of water and the idea that balance must be restored when disrupted. At the heart of the Mishomis book are the 7 grandfather teachings. And then your 2 dots, I don't remember what they're called. Love, respect, courage, honesty, wisdom, humility, and truth. Each teaching is represented by an animal. Hyphenate it, like the eagle for love and the bear for courage. And each offers, well, after courage, hyphenate it, represented by an animal, hyphenate it, like the eagle for love and the bear for courage, hyphenate it, and each offers guidance for living in harmony. These teachings are not separate from governance or law. Oxford comma. They are the foundation. They guide how clans interact, how leaders make decisions, and how individuals relate to community. They are also deeply tied to land, hyphenate it, because to live with humility and respect means to honor the earth as a relative, not a resource. And then I don't know if you want to include these or not, but these are the significant characters and places. Nana Buju, a shapeshifter, teacher, and cultural hero who bridges spirit and human worlds. Muskrat, symbol of perseverance and humility, central to both creation and flood stories. Turtle Island, the landmass formed after the flood, representing North America and the sacredness of place. Madeline Island, a spiritual center during the Great Migration, still honored today. The animals, not just characters, but teachers, each one offering lessons about balance, sacrifice, and kinship. And then your closing paragraph. The Mishomis book is not just about the past. Hyphenate it. It's about how to live today. It teaches that sovereignty is rooted in spirit, that governance must reflect the 7 teachings, and that land is not owned but honored. These stories are tools for healing, resistance, and remembering. For the Anishinaabe, history is not linear. It's cyclical, relational, and alive. Maybe don't put cyclical because you don't really know what it means, but maybe we could think of another word for that. But those are the essay questions. Maybe I should read. I believe in you. I think you got it.